Well, hey, how y'all doing out there today? I don't know how I got stuck on this channel, but I'm just catching Trump's live speech about what he's been talking to the Brazilian president about. Now all of a sudden, Brazil is just a gold star in the world, and they're an ally. And even though they're not a part of the NATO alliance, but they could be a part of the NATO alliance. They could be a part of the NATO alliance. He threw that out there, y'all. That caught my ear, and I listened to the rest of it, and then it went from how we can really help Brazil and Brazil can really help us, and they're our buddies, and we're offering them a spot in NATO. Then he even said, then he brought it down there, and he said they're so close to the equator that NASA is looking to even offer Brazil a job of launching our rockets from Brazil. Wow. What do rockets launch, y'all? They launch crap into space, and they launch missiles. They launch nuclear warheads. I'm going to point out the truth about this. I'm going to tell you what's really being said on this TV that you need to be paying attention to, because I've been telling y'all about this Venezuelan thing. I've been telling you about the BRICS nations. I've been telling you that Russia never became our ally. They have always been our enemy, and that superpowers run, these two superpowers, the United States and Russia, run their countries and their militaries off of oil. China is the only one that's running off coal seam gas right now, but they're in this as well, because here's the thing. You do have NATO that Trump's dangling out there in front of Brazil saying, come join NATO. Brazil is already a member of the BRICS nations. The BRICS nations starts with Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. We can't stop thinking about this when we think about Venezuela and the oil there. Brazil is Russia's ally. This is why Trump's kissing their ass. This is why Trump's offering them a spot in NATO. You got to really, this is why they want Brazil to launch our rockets into space. It has nothing to do with space, y'all. It has to do with the fact that, and it don't have anything to do with resources before y'all throw resources out there. Our American corporations are already in Brazil. Look at Monsanto's, look at Halliburton, look at the energy companies you don't hear about like Citgo and Shell. They're all down there. They're already doing business with them. When the 240 super Walmarts closed, 160 of them were down in Brazil, y'all. They got the Walmarts. You might want to pay attention to Brazil a little bit. Um, Hundreds of millions of people. They live very similar to us. They're all over consumers. Monsanto went down there and tested something. That's where those fake Zika virus lies about Zika babies, those were Monsanto's babies. Brazil basically has a lot of reasons to hate us. Number one, the Central American countries like Guatemala and Honduras, and then now parts of South America and Brazil are buying our garbage and dumping it in the Caribbean because they don't have laws against dumping. South America is nothing but a dumping ground and a place to steal rainforest medicine and lumber for the rest of the world, but primarily America. But look at here, all these last decades you've been alive, and several decades before that, we were getting our oil from all around the world, the Middle East. Did you ever stop for a minute and think why we get all our oil from the Middle East and have it shipped all the way around the world on these dangerous oil tankers to America? And Russia and China are buying their oil, and when China bought oil, they were buying it from Venezuela and shipping it all the way around the world. Did you ever stop and think about that? Did you ever stop and think for a minute why Russia got involved when Syria started being attacked? Because that's where they buy their oil from. You got to look at the oil wars, y'all. That's what's going on. And now the chickens have come home to roost. Now it's in South America. Now Russia has bombers flying all over Venezuela and Brazil that are nuclear capable. Now Russia has troops in Brazil. Now Russia is getting involved with Venezuela because that's where they buy their oil from. And America has done wiped it out everywhere else. The United States federal government, the New World Order lapdog, that's who it is. They have got it everywhere else. The big oil kings and king gods, like your Rex Tillersons and all that kind of people, your Dick Cheneys, they've all the whole Bush family, they have gotten it everywhere else in the world, and now they're getting it here. They're getting their reserves out and making you think that they're pumping oil here in the United States, and they are drilling oil here in the United States. We are pumping it, but that's not the big exports. That's the oil from the 50s, 60s, and 70s that they drilled out and sucked up and put into salt domes in the Gulf of Mexico. You got to look at what's going on and how it's at your back door. That's why it's important. You think the wall is about You think the wall is about keeping the illegal aliens out? No, that's a line in the sand they're drawing, basically letting the BRICS nations know that this side is NATO and this side is, and your side is the BRICS nations. It's a line in the sand for superpowers. It's not to keep anybody out. Matter of fact, it's probably to keep you in. Parts of our own country have been sold to these outside interests that are now saying, well, hey, since we bought the Chinese are saying, well, since we bought the Marcellus Shale in the United States and we bought their uranium and we bought their oil, well, now we're just going to move right up underneath them and get the oil, and America's trying to get it from Venezuela themselves. That's what the coup is about. That's what the crap with presidents. That's y'all worrying about humanitarian aid when Venezuela was giving away humanitarian aid a week before we sent our humanitarian aid down there. They're looking for a reason to start war, and Brazil is a perfect place to have this new oil war. So what all y'all saw in the Middle East, you just get ready for it. What you saw in the Middle East all these last couple of decades is now you're going to see in the northern part of Central America. America already has people down there. We've been buying their cocaine. We've been training their soldiers. Look at the School of Americas at Fort Benning, Georgia. We've been training their soldiers for 30 years, 30, 40 years, y'all. We're all down there, but we never put our presence there, and neither did the Soviet Union when they were called the Soviet Union, or now that they're called Russia. Nobody's ever put their presence down there till now. But you can basically say Russia and the United States brokered some kind of big oil deal about Syria, and now they're wanting the oil over here. So America said, well, we'll just get the oil closer to home. Well, Russia's been getting it from there for decades and decades and decades. So there's just one energy company trying to cut another one out, one currency trying to take over. Things at a global new world order level are happening, but now we're the battlefront. You get it? You can't look on CNN or Fox News no more and see it over in the Middle East. It's right down just 1,000 miles south of you. And you want to believe that shit? Trump just said it out of his own damn mouth. We want to use Brazil because it's so close to the equator, and we want to give them the gift. We're going to allow them to launch our missiles or launch our rockets out into space. Have NASA come down to Brazil. Wow. Wow. You think that's for missiles to go into space or rockets to go into space? No. You think what you want, all these conspiracies, all these things that people wonder about and think about, they're happening right in front of you. EMP weapons are being used. Whole cities are being knocked out and blacked out. Chemical diseases and the just destruction of life happens, and they call it viruses. Everybody's getting dumber to this stuff, but it's right in your face. It's like the more information you get, the more you look away. Well, you're not going to be able to look away much longer. You got to think about this. It's happening right below you. And the other thing is, it was bad enough that nobody cared about human life in the Middle East, or nobody cared about human life in Africa, or nobody cares about human life in Palestine. You may not even care about the human life in Venezuela or Brazil or Central America. It's just political talking points for some of y'all. You just talk about these people like they're not human beings. Well, they are human beings. They're going to die because our country, our leadership, our government is going to steal their stuff and kill them. We have been watching them do that consistently for the last 20 years. In the last 17, we have been in a constant war called a war on terror against a little small ragtag enemy called terrorists. And we're still at it. But in 1945, we ended a 3-year war against a powerful German and Japanese army. And you're falling for some bullshit that we can't stop a war on terror? Wow. Are you that fucking ignorant? But now it's knocking at the door. It's inside the house. That stuff ain't going to stop at Central America. Why do you think since 1984, the United States government has had a contingency plan called Rex 84 for a flood of millions of people to come up over the border? Because of war. People leaving war. They have just gotten out here, and the Trump administration is trying to put fear in everybody's mind that we got 76,000 last month and millions are coming. We're going to have millions of fucking illegal immigrants. They're not illegal immigrants. They are running from war. Wow, man. Wow. And y'all also worried about immigrants that have come from other war-torn countries. Here's what really makes me sick. This really shows me how stupid we've gotten. People around the world, New Zealand, Australia, England, Europe, America, predominantly white countries, all so upset about the Muslims coming over to their country. They're leaving war-torn areas because your fucking countries and your fucking governments went over there and killed them and stole their resources and stole their jobs and stole their life. So yeah, they're pretty fucking pissed off, but they were minding their own goddamn business before in the 1990s, wasn't they? They was minding their own fucking business. So there you go. Now it's fixing to be at your back door. This is why they want the wall. This is why Rex 84 is in place. This is why you got FEMA camps. This is why they're separating the families. This is why they're sterilizing these people and killing people, and y'all don't even want to pay attention to it. But fill up that gas tank though while you're in it. It's gotten bad, y'all, but it's not that it's bad around the world. It's bad in your own yard, your own backyard. So you got to pay attention to these things. You got to quit believing these liars. You got to turn your back on this federal government. You got to turn your back on this system. And if people come from an area where our government is murdering, you best be there with a blanket and a bottle of water and some food and say, hey, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not that they're sorry. It's not that they're coming over here to take your jobs. It's not that they're coming over here to take your welfare and your tax money. They're coming over here because they ain't got nowhere to go because your goddamn government's down there messing with them. Think about that. Look at the real truth about what's going on before you, or don't. I tell you what, or don't. Just don't. I don't care. The time is now. We got to pay attention to what's going on at the border, but at the same time, people that have been brainwashed by this system need to speak out against this system. If you have some kind of voice or power to speak to other people, even to go outside the narrative of what we're seeing on the TV, to show people what's really going on, to either turn your backs on it or speak out against it, but going along with it and complying with it has it at our border for real. It has it in our hemisphere right now. All these wars and stuff you watch in another part of the world, like I said, are now in your back, right below you, and it's moving north. We sold out, y'all. We sold out, and we didn't care when it was other countries selling out. We didn't care when the Australian government sold 20 years worth of CSG to the Chinese. We didn't care when the propped up Somalian and Libyan and Sudanese governments sold out to big oil, did we? We didn't care when just literally millions of people died in a 17-year war over oil. Well, it's about time to care now. Think about that. I love y'all. Open your eyes. Peace, and don't live in fear. Pay attention.